As tourists come to visit Dracula's fortress, be greeted by witches and vampires, bartenders letting their imagination run wild, preparing scary cocktails like Bloody Marys, and something called a brain hemorrhage. That's our time for now. Newsfeed 5 starts right after this.
Right now at 5, Madison police have a suspect in custody after a deadly shooting over the weekend in a downtown parking ramp.
7th and 8th graders at an area middle school didn't have class today after mold was found. How the district is dealing with the problem.
And how the Jewish community in Madison is responding to the synagogue shooting in Pittsburgh that killed 11 people.
This is News 3 at 5.
Thanks for staying with News 3. A woman is in custody this afternoon for the death of 21-year-old Stephen Villegas, a Madison man shot and killed after Freak Fest in a parking ramp over the weekend.
21-year-old Kenyara Gadsden is facing possible first-degree intentional homicide charges. Our Madeline O'Neill sat down with the victim's family and shares a plea from them tonight. Maddie?
Stephen Villegas' mother is grieving the loss of her son, who she says was senselessly killed by gun violence. But Rashawn Villegas says Stephen wasn't just a son, he was a brother, cousin, and father. Stephen leaves behind a nearly 3-year-old son, a newborn daughter, and his fiance. Rashawn says Stephen, who she describes as laid back and not violent at all, met with friends at Freak Fest Saturday night. She says he then got mixed up with the wrong crowd before getting shot in the chest.
And this gun violence, it just has to stop. You know, folks is taking people, loved ones away from them senselessly, you know, and it just needs to stop. I never ever dreamed or thought that I would ever lose a child this way.
Stephen's family told me they were hoping for justice and that police would make an arrest. They did that this morning, arresting Kenyara Gadsden of Madison after detectives reviewed surveillance images and spoke with witnesses. Madison police believe the suspect and Villegas had met at some point before the ramp encounter, even if it was briefly that night.
All right, Maddie O'Neill in the News Center tonight. Maddie, thank you. After a string of crimes, officials are looking for 2 people who they say are fugitives. The Greene County Sheriff's Office said that area residents should be on the lookout for 34-year-old Samuel Schutt and 28-year-old Stephanie Retzlaff. Deputies say arrest warrants have been issued for both of them for armed robbery, thefts, and bail jumping. Officials in Dane County say they evaded arrest after nearly hitting a U.S. Marshal with their vehicle. In Milwaukee County, they stole a vehicle, took officers on a 6-mile chase, crashed the vehicle before fleeing. Deputies say they're believed to be traveling together in southern Wisconsin and northern Illinois and have local community ties in Greene County. 7th and 8th graders in DeForest did not have school today after mold was found in one side of the DeForest area middle school.
The district is still investigating and trying to figure out what they should do to get rid of it. Amanda Quintana is here with more on the situation. Amanda.
Yes, well, school was canceled for 7th and 8th graders today. It's also canceled tomorrow. The superintendent tells me it's unlikely they will be back on Wednesday, too. They're looking at moving around the schedule or sending the students to another campus, but no decisions have been made yet.
We're not quite sure what programming will look like for 7th and 8th grade. Everything's kind of on the table right now.
For now, the 7th and 8th grade side of DeForest Area Middle School is empty, while public health officials investigate just how much mold is in the building. It was originally found behind baseboards and wallpaper on Thursday, then more on Friday.
Could have been there for several years. We're not sure.
Since 5th and 6th graders are technically in another newer building with different air systems, they're able to go to class as normal, while the district comes up with a plan to get rid of the mold in the original building, built in 1988.
You know, a lot of times mold can grow in hard to reach or hard to see places, and that makes it more complicated.
John Hausbeck with Public Health says the mold is dried out and dormant, meaning it's not growing and releasing materials into the air right now. But we don't know when it was, allowing students and teachers to inhale it, possibly causing issues for those with asthma or allergies.
This can cause health problems. Whatever they are, really, you know, the focus needs to be, let's get rid of the mold.
But to get rid of it means moving it and causing a release of those particles into the air. One of the reasons why the district is being so careful.
We're trying to be very transparent with the issue. This isn't uncommon, but certainly, you know, we're taking appropriate precautions.
Again, this mold is not believed to be a risk right now. The district hopes to let parents know the plan, including when students can get back to school by the end of the day tomorrow. And that includes, you know, if they're going to have to add days on at the end of the year as well.
Now we'll continue to follow it and keep everybody posted. Thanks, Amanda.
Let's get a look at your first alert weather now. Chief Meteorologist Gary Canalti joining us in the Weather Center. Gary?
Actually, it's a pretty nice day, and the weather should be pretty quiet through the end of the month. Of course, we only have a couple more days left in October, but you can see on visible cloud track, there were more clouds in the northern part of the state than here in southern Wisconsin. We started out the day with more clouds, and then we had sunshine for much of the day. There have been a few sprinkles of rain right now, mainly along the I-90-94 corridor from around Portage back toward Toma, but these are going to diminish pretty quickly this evening. Low temperatures this morning started out around 40 here in Madison. Many locations were just a little colder than that, mid to upper 30s across southern Wisconsin. High temperatures so far, upper 40s north and east of Madison, around 50 here in town, a little warmer to the south and west where there was a little more sunshine, and current temperatures reflect that. Temperatures are still in the low to mid 50s over southwestern Wisconsin. Madison's dropped to 49, and temperatures are mainly in the 40s as you head up toward the Fox Valley. By tomorrow morning, look for temperatures to drop off to about 42. Skies become mostly cloudy. Temperatures tomorrow will top out in the middle 50s. There's a slight chance for showers mainly southeast of Madison in the afternoon. That's your first alert forecast.
All right, Gary, thank you. The man accused of hitting a couple with his car on Midvale Boulevard on a sidewalk in April enters a guilty plea in Dane County Court today. 20-year-old Benjamin Cortez pleaded guilty to second-degree reckless homicide and first-degree recklessly endangering safety. Prosecutors say he was going over 100 miles per hour moments before he hit Greg and Patricia Namitz as they walked their dog April 27th. 7 of the 10 charges that he faced were dropped, but he still faces up to 37.5 years of combined prison time and extended supervision.
Today was simply the culmination of a natural sequence of events that started when he told the police it was his fault. He's obviously scared, but he's extremely, extremely sorry for what he did. He knows what he did was wrong, and he hopes to be able to someday be able to apologize and receive amends from the family.
Judge Nicholas McNamara will determine sentencing for Cortez at a hearing on January 2nd. We're learning more about the man who's accused of buying radioactive material with the intent to kill. Jeremy Ryan appeared in federal court in Madison today on a probable cause hearing. Court documents indicate he said he purchased the substances as a, quote, backup suicide plan in case his cancer returned. The court determined that Ryan is a risk to public safety as well as a flight risk in order to have him detained pending further proceedings in the case.
The suspected gunman in this weekend's deadly synagogue shooting in Pittsburgh made his first court appearance today. 46-year-old Robert Bowers appeared in court, shackled and in a wheelchair. He is facing 29 federal charges, including hate crimes. Prosecutors say they intend to pursue the death penalty.
We will have the opportunity to present evidence demonstrating that Robert Bowers murdered 11 people who were exercising their religious beliefs, and that he shot or injured 6 others, including 4 of whom were police officers responding to the shooting.
Bowers is detained without bond. He'll be back in court for a hearing Thursday. He has no prior criminal record. There are about 4,500 people in the Jewish community in the greater Madison area. Rabbi Jonathan Beich from Temple Bethel says he felt disgusted and shocked by what happened in Pittsburgh, but he wants people to use it as an opportunity to confront lawmakers and people running for office about the best ways forward. He's currently reviewing the security protocols at his synagogue.
This is something that directly affects who we are. It affects what we do. It affects people who might have lived through the Holocaust in our community, and we do have a few survivors in our community. It affects people who have fought for years to try and reduce prejudice in our community.
Last night, over 1,000 people packed the First Unitarian Society to mourn the loss of the 11 killed in the shooting in Pittsburgh. Tonight at 7 o'clock, Hillel on the UW-Madison campus is partnering with other organizations to host another vigil. Organizers expect more than 500 students to be there.
The 4 nonprofit groups that are combining forces to help Madison seniors now have a new name: East Madison Monona Coalition of the Aging, West Madison Senior Coalition, South Madison Coalition of the Elderly, and the Northeast Side Senior Coalition will now be called New Bridge. In July, the 4 groups announced they would be combining forces. The locations will stay the same so seniors can access resources and care close to home.
At this point, we're planning on keeping all 4 of our locations open. We really believe it's important to stay firmly connected to the different communities throughout Madison and the Monona area, and so we want to have locations throughout the city of Madison.
The 4 senior nonprofits will officially merge on January 1st.
An area nonprofit has received the biggest grant in its history. Nehemiah's Justified Anger is celebrating the gift of a $1 million grant, which will be spread out over the next 5 years. Justified Anger's goal is to create a movement through positioning African Americans as leaders at all levels in our community, bridging the gap of social isolation. The group will use the funds to build upon its existing programs to expand in scope and participation, as well as make health care more equitable.
We're really elated. It is a great opportunity to establish not only initiatives that will close the achievement gap or the racial disparities in health, but it allows us to grow as African American influencers. This allows us to stand tall and to do what we know needs to be done in this community.
The grant comes from the Wisconsin Partnership Program at the UW School of Medicine and Public Health. There's more to come tonight at 5 when we come back. A reality check on an attack ad that's going after Brad Schimmel's record before he was Attorney General.
And on Wall Street, another rough one for the markets. The Dow loses another 245 points. The Nasdaq dropped 117. The S&P 500 off 17. We'll be right back. We are seeing more attacks this week in the statewide race for Attorney General from candidates Brad Schimmel and Josh Call.
Political reporter Jessica Arp takes a look at an ad going after Brad Schimmel's record before he was Attorney General in tonight's reality check.
An arm of the Democratic Attorneys General Association is the group behind a new attack ad that aims to make Brad Schimmel look soft on crime.
Their safety is his responsibility, but Attorney General Brad Schimmel repeatedly cut plea deals for men who sexually assaulted children.
This needs clarification. All of these men were charged with sex crimes against teenagers by the Waukesha County District Attorney's Office, where Brad Schimmel was DA. The defendants all agreed to plea deals. While the ad calls these men sexual predators, a judge only ordered 2 of them to register as sex offenders, and 1 was later removed following treatment. We'll put more details on how these cases were handled on channel3000.com.
He blamed underage victims of sexual assault for their, quote, bad judgment.
This also needs clarification. In this case, 17-year-old Dustin Yoss was convicted of attacking and sexually assaulting 2 15-year-olds. Schimmel told the judge at sentencing that the victims did not want Yoss to go to prison, but did want a deterrent effect. Schimmel told the judge, quote, both victims consider their decisions they made that night to be very bad judgment to put themselves in a bedroom alone with Mr. Yoss. He went on to say, quote, they've been working with others to counsel their way through this, and they now know that going into the bedroom doesn't give him permission to do anything to them. If Schimmel is blaming the victim here, is for you to decide.
And after a lawyer for a man caught with child pornography gave thousands of dollars to Schimmel's campaign, that man got a plea deal just days after Schimmel took office.
Finally, we find this also needs clarification, and we think maybe a timeline will help. In June 2013, Andrew Lambrecht was charged with downloading child pornography, and in August, he pled not guilty to that charge. In October 2013, Brad Schimmel announced a run for Attorney General, and in November 2013, 2 things happened. Court records show Lambrecht's attorney, Matthew Hooperts, attempted to reach a plea deal, and he began giving monthly donations to Schimmel's campaign. In May 2014, documents show Schimmel offered a plea deal to Lambrecht. The deal, plead guilty to the single charge he was facing and not be charged for anything else found when a search warrant was executed. Records show Lambrecht didn't immediately agree. Hooperts continued donations past May, giving monthly until October 2014, totaling $6,000. Then in January, Lambrecht changed his plea and accepted the deal, more than 2 weeks after Schimmel was sworn in as AG. Lambrecht was sentenced to 3 years in prison, the mandatory minimum for the crime. We asked AG Schimmel's campaign why he offered this deal, and they maintain this wasn't a plea deal at all because the charge remained the same, and say Schimmel would have taken the case to trial. I'm Jessica Arp with this News 3 Reality Check.
If you have an idea for a reality check, send it to us at realitycheck@channel3000.com.
All in all, as Gary mentioned, not too bad out there for this fall day. He joins us from the backyard patio. Gary?
No, actually, things looking very nice right now. The weather will be pretty quiet for the last couple of days of October, and that includes Halloween on Wednesday, and I think we should see some nice weather for the trick-or-treaters. Let's start out by taking a look at visible cloud track. You can see there were more clouds in the northern and northeastern parts of the state. Southern Wisconsin started out with some clouds. We had a few come in this afternoon with a few sprinkles of rain, mainly up north of Madison over toward the Dells. Very little of that rain is reaching the ground other than a few very light sprinkles, and most of those should be gone before too long. Temperature trend over the over the last 48 hours. Generally, we haven't seen much movement in temperatures. Low temperatures were in the lower 40s, near 40, and high temperatures yesterday, mid-40s. Today, we were generally in the upper 40s to around 50. Live view from the Queen Bee Radio Sky Cam in Platteville showing some breaks in the clouds there. That's been part of the state that's been a little warmer. WISC Sky Cam looking off toward the east shows some sunshine now reaching the ground, and the Edgewater Sky Cam in downtown Madison looking toward the southeast still shows cloudy skies there. As we check out our almanac for today, high temperature 51 after starting out with a low of 40, so pretty close to the normals of 53 and 35. Right now we're at 49 degrees, winds are out of the east-southeast at 3 miles per hour, and the humidity pretty comfortable at 64%. High temperature trend over the next 7 days, generally downward, but mid-50s for the next couple of days, around 50 on Thursday. and then mid-40s for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday before getting back up to around 50 by Monday of next week. 8 to 14-day temperature outlook still calls for above normal temperatures on the East Coast and the southwestern part of the country, with near normal temperatures in the nation's midsection. Above normal precipitation, though, expected, especially from Wisconsin eastward toward the East Coast. Current temperatures range from near 40 up near Lake Superior to the middle 60s over central Iowa. A jet stream is right in between, and that's what's moving those showers along pretty quickly to the north of Madison. But the weather systems across the country right now pretty quiet. The jet stream's starting to gather a little more strength out to the west, and a weather system will spin up there. In fact, so we take a look at the surface weather map. There's a couple of areas of low pressure up in South Dakota, back into Montana. That'll be our next weather maker that moves on through. That probably won't be until toward the end of the week. Current temperatures range from the 40s in our part of the Midwest to the 70s over parts of western Nebraska and western Kansas. Our forecast for tonight calls for partly cloudy skies this evening to turn mostly cloudy overnight. Low temperature dropping to 42 degrees. For tomorrow, mostly cloudy. There's a chance for a shower mainly southeast of Madison in the afternoon with a high temperature of 55 degrees. Now, as we take a look at future track, just look for cloudy skies for tonight. Those sprinkles moving away. For tomorrow, we'll start out cloudy with temperatures in the lower 40s. Watch as showers develop mainly over southeastern Wisconsin late tomorrow afternoon. So much of the area may either stay dry or just see a slight chance of rain. High temperatures tomorrow, mid-50s. Any lingering showers will end early tomorrow evening. Then cloudy skies will start to clear toward tomorrow morning, with low temperatures dropping to around 40 by early on Wednesday morning. But for Halloween, look for partly sunny skies and pleasant conditions. High temperatures will be in the middle 50s. As we take a look at the 7 to 10 day forecast, those temperatures turn a little cooler for Thursday, a little cooler still for Friday, slight chance of a shower Friday. Saturday will be dry, but we could see rain and snow showers Saturday night into early Sunday morning. Then a period of some rain showers from Sunday through Monday and Tuesday, and then more chilly weather toward the end of next week with high temperatures back in the lower 40s. As we take a look at first alert traffic, things are actually looking pretty good on the Beltline. This is the view from the Beltline camera at Verona Road. I was just looking southbound. There are a few delays southbound on Verona Road into the construction zone. Traffic moving a little slowly there. But on the Beltline itself, looks like a minor delay may have developed between West Broadway and John Nolan Drive in the eastbound direction. But traffic times are pretty nice. 16 minutes either direction between University Avenue and the interstate on the Beltline. Heading out of Madison, it's 28 minutes down to Janesville on I-3990. 20 minutes to Sauk City on US 12 and 18 minutes out to Sun Prairie on East Washington Avenue and US 151. That's your first alert traffic.
All right, Gary, thank you.
Thanks, Gary. Ahead at 5, the man accused of sending bombs to multiple public figures is in court. We'll have the very latest after a short break. Nearly 200 people are feared dead after a jetliner crashed after takeoff in Indonesia.
Earlier today, crews found the wreckage of the Boeing 737 near where the plane went down. 189 people, including 3 children, were on board Flight 610 when the nearly brand new jetliner crashed into the sea this morning, 13 minutes after takeoff. The pilot had requested to return to the airport shortly before the plane plunged into the water near Jakarta, scattering wreckage for miles. Search teams are working through the night to recover bodies and debris and hopefully the black box, which could give clues about why the plane went down.
The man accused of sending homemade bombs to prominent Democrats critical of President Trump at his first day in court today. A judge read 5 federal charges that could send 56-year-old Cesar Sayak to prison for decades. The former pizza delivery man and stripper was arrested Friday at an auto parts store in Plantation, Florida, after investigators linked him to those packages through a fingerprint and DNA. Sayak was DJing at a strip club the night before his arrest. His co-workers say they're shocked.
Scary to think that somebody that you see 4 times a week, 4 days a week, and you talk to often, that they would be capable of doing something like that.
Hours before Sayak's court appearance, a suspicious package similar to those he allegedly sent last week was intercepted at a postal facility in downtown Atlanta. The FBI confirms that package was addressed to CNN, bringing the number of confiscated suspicious packages to 15.
We'll have a final check of the weather when we come back.
On tonight's CBS Evening News, we are hearing more remarkable stories of survival from inside the Tree of Life Synagogue, including from one man who says an old flip phone may have saved his life. On tonight's CBS Evening News.
And finally, at 5, on a lighter note, there's nothing better than an NFL touchdown celebration.
All right, check it out. Seattle Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson. He finds Ed Dixon in the end zone for the 24-yard score against the Lions yesterday. After the touchdown, Tyler Lockett grabbed the ball and pitched it right at Doug Baldwin's knee, collapsed, acting like a baseball player getting hit, and then charged the mound before getting clotheslined. Apparently similar to Nolan Ryan. Robin Ventura, I don't know if many people. Gary probably remembers
remember that very well.
It's been
he
25
didn't get
years ago now.
He just got slugged.
Yeah, he just put him in a headlock.
That's right.
All right, final check, Gary.
Temperatures right now, a little on the cool side, but not bad. 49 right now in Madison. A little warmer to our south and west, a little cooler to the north and east. Over the next 7 to 10 days, temperatures around 50 for tomorrow. Chance for a shower in the afternoon, mainly south and east of Madison. And then on Halloween itself, look for a high temperature of 56, so looking a little bit better there.
All right, CBS Evening News coming your way next from Pittsburgh. We'll be back in 30 minutes for News 3 at 6.